Alright, so in this video here today, I wanted to talk about the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold, their potential franchise quarterback, which I'm starting to have a bit of doubts about that, but you'll see sort of why. I guess I'll get straight into it right now. Sam Darnold had a great season last year with the Minnesota Vikings and single-handedly revived his own NFL career by just playing great. And he had a couple shaky games, had that playoff game where he was so bad, had the game against the Jaguars where he was pathetic and they scored like 13 points. But other than that, really to be quite honest with you folks, I thought he was very good in that season. He really showed flashes of being a good NFL quarterback. And he just was really impressive. He definitely took a huge leap in that season, but now he's gone to a totally different coach, a totally different team, a totally different city, and a totally different system over there in Seattle. And when you look at the way that the roster is sort of built, and the roster is, for lack of a better word, I guess, constructed around Sam Darnold, that whole offense for the Seattle Seahawks coming into the season, the offense looks very poor. Because what was Sam Darnold really the best at last season? It was his deep ball. He had some of the best deep accuracy in the entire NFL, where he was just letting that thing fly all over the fucking field. I mean, he was just chucking deep bombs because he had guys like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison who could go down and get it and make a play on the football, whether it was a one-on-one, if it was busted coverage, if it was just, a borderline elite throw from Darnold. It didn't really matter what the circumstance was. He had guys that can go down and get the football and get open and all that stuff, right? And an offensive line that would give him time from the pocket to unleash the ball deep. My main problem with the way this roster for Seattle on offense is built is their just terrible offensive line. Their offensive line is sort of a mishmash of different guys who you don't know if they're any good or not, and I believe one of them has got an injury. And I think this is I think at some point in the season, it'll start getting really bad, right? To where Darnold's getting sacked 3-4 times a game, and he just doesn't really get much time to throw, because obviously with a deep ball, you can't just drop back, catch the snap and throw it, because the route's not deep enough down the field, especially if you're running like some sort of post route or something like that, a long developing route, or some sort of man beater where it's a double move where it takes a while for that sort of to get set up and for that to work effectively down the field. You need an offensive line that's good, that can protect the quarterback and make sure the quarterback is clean when he's releasing the ball to throw it deep down the field. The Seahawks offensive line is probably one of the worst in the entirety of the NFL. And then you look at the receivers, which are, they're the guys who are supposed to be getting open deep, correct? But then you see, you got Jigba, Cooper Kupp. I mean, they don't have deep threats. I'm not trying to diss Cooper Kupp. He's still a decent receiver, although he could be a bit washed at this point in his career, to be honest with you. But in Jigba, more of an intermediate guy with good hands who can win a jump ball on occasion. Not someone you're going to rely on to beat dudes with double moves, who has the speed to beat any corner in the NFL like Addison and Jefferson did for the Vikings. So it's looking a bit fucked, honestly, for Seattle, because you got poor roster construction. I mean, you didn't construct the roster to emphasize his strengths. You didn't make any trades. You didn't really draft it. You drafted his potential replacement in Jalen fucking Milroe, so you wasted a third-round pick essentially. I understand the pick, but I don't like it because Jalen Milroe, I had an undrafted free agent grade on him because he was so horseshit in college. He played so bad he played down in competition. He was a turnover machine. He can't read defense. I mean, he's absolutely atrocious. And if he ever turns into anything in the NFL, I'll be surprised. But we're not talking about Jalen Milroe in this video. This is about Sam Darnold. And they've got to they should have constructed the roster around their like $100 million quarterback better. It's that fucking simple to understand. It's not like I'm like trying to decipher hieroglyphics or anything, or I'm trying to teach them how to fucking be a doctor or a fucking brain surgeon or to do some fucking rocket science. No, it's not as complicated as that. It's as simple as good deep ball thrower, good deep ball threats. Cooper Kupp, come on, let's be real. He's fucking old. And Jigba doesn't really have that huge speed, but is still a good receiver in the NFL. I don't know who else they have. I mean, I could take a I gotta take a peek here at who they have employed as their wide receivers, but I'm assuming it's not really going to end up looking the greatest in the world here as I look at their roster. What do I see? What jumps off the tape here? Marquez Valdez-Scantling. There's one, I guess. He's fast. And then behind all those guys, Jake Bobo. Oh my God, Torrey Horton. Jake Bobo is one of the slowest receivers in the entire NFL. Not a deep threat. Ricky White, I don't even know who that is. Torrey Horton, that was the guy from Colorado State. And then Steven Sims, John Rice Plumlee, who used to be a quarterback for UCF. He's a cut, but still, now apparently he's playing receiver in the NFL. AJ Barner is your main tight end. I mean, Charles Cross, Gray Zabel. I mean, this offensive line on the right side in the center position is so bad. It might be the worst in the league with those three positions. This offense looks bad. I mean, you got two great running backs, right? Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. Right, two really solid, dependable backs who are just good guys, a good 1-2 punch, sort of not really by committee, because by committee would imply that your team doesn't really have that main running back, and obviously Walker is the main running back, but the way this team is built on offense, you have no idea, like it's like the GM didn't know what he was doing when he's constructing the roster, like, oh, that's just, we'll trade for Cooper, sign Cooper Kupp. Well, we have Jigbo, he's our main guy. Let's get Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who, is a pretty decent deep threat receiver, but then we got no depth. If one of your main three receivers goes down, you gotta have Jake Bobo on the field getting snaps to fucking catch the ball from, from the goddamn quarterback. And Jake Bobo is not very fucking good, okay? One of the slowest receivers in the NFL, has no speed, can't stretch the defense, is only good for intermediate and short route running. He's a solid route runner, but he's not very good. No depth. So you're going to have either Torrey fucking Horton or Jake Bobo replace, if one of your guys, God forbid, gets injured, which I'm willing to reckon one of these three dudes gets hurt. Either Jigba Kupp, it's almost a certainty one of those guys is going, one of their main three receiving options for this season is going to be injured. So Jake Bobo is going to get minutes if he doesn't get cut, which is, probably isn't, because he's decent enough to stay on the roster, but he's not good enough to play consistently in the game. Come on. You can't defend the way their offense is built. It's just horrendous. This is bad roster construction, and I know, you got Drew Lock back, and you have Jalen Milroe, but once again, in the third round, you drafted Darnold's potential replacement instead of getting Darnold help, getting him something on the offensive line. I know they drafted Zabel, but they could have drafted another guy with how shambolic the right side of the offensive line is looking this season. It looks like it could be in fucking tatters by fucking week 8. All right? And then you add in every other factor other than the offensive line, the receiving core that has just no speed besides one guy, no tight ends. A good run game, but the line is not going to be guaranteed to block for those two dudes. They're not going to block for Charbonnet and Walker. Probably not. And then I sort of take a look at their defense. It's not really impressive. They got some decent corners. They got Josh Jobe. They got Tariq Woolen. Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy. You got Salt, Devon Witherspoon, Kobe Bryant. Julian Love. Good secondary, but linebackers and sort of pass rush is meh at best. And I don't know, with the way this team is, the state of this team right now, I severely doubt any ability that they have to win more than 6 games. This team doesn't look like, man, this is sad for Seahawks fans. You guys were good for a decade, and now all of a sudden everything's coming crashing down. Reality is starting to catch up to the Seahawks. Not everything is sunshine and fucking rainbows, and you can't always have a franchise quarterback, and apparently you can't always have a good team either, because this team looks, I'm not going to say dreadful, but this team looks very mediocre, and in my opinion is probably not going to go places, because it's not built around the strength of the quarterback, which was throwing deep. There's no deep threats. Other than Marquez Valdez-Scantling, there's no one. Once again, Torrey Horton, Ricky White, fucking Jake Bobo. These guys are not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination. And the fact is, once again, if there's an injury to one of the receivers, one of those guys is going to be forced into action, and they're going to look completely out of their depth because none of those guys are ready to play in the NFL. And that's it, man. That's all I got to say about the Seattle Seahawks in this video. Just poor roster construction. Poor job. This team does not have a bright future really at all, especially on offense. Thank you all for watching. This has been Mr. Truth, and this was nothing but the truth.